All right. Everyone hear me? Cool. Well, before I get started, after sitting through the ethics and disclosure session earlier, I feel a little compelled to say that every brand represented in this presentation today has at some point directly or indirectly helped pay my bills. So there you go, FTC. Just to be safe. So anyway, I want to start out first by just apologizing to everyone, let you know that there are in fact no secret special ingredients, no elusive processes or formulas that I'm going to give you guys today that are going to guarantee any of you success. But I do want to provide a little bit of perspective that may help serve as a guide for you guys as you think about your sponsored programs, and it's going to come from three different perspectives: that of a brand, an agency, and a content creator. So let me get started with a little bit of background on all three. So you're probably asking, what's with this tool up on stage? Well, you'd be partially correct in saying that. My name is Andy Brownell. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio with my family, and I've been a woodworker for the past 20 years, building a lot of studio furniture, both for my house and for people and for brands. I'm also obviously a big fan of craft beer by the growlers up there. I don't have any for sale. For a lot of that time, I've also been building things inside of my home, and I've also worked with a variety of brands and publishers as a content creator. This gives me a lot of opportunity to apply the passions in building things that I have in my personal life and creating content and social media and writing blogs for companies like these up here who find value in the things that I can provide them and their consumers. As a content creator, I've written blog posts, product reviews, shot a lot of photography, conducted social amplification across most of the major platforms, and I've also provided demonstrations for on-site events and have done a lot of long-form how-to videos. I also kind of dip into the analog world a little bit too. On the right there is a recent article from Popular Woodworking magazine. If anyone's interested in making a mid-century modern clock, you can pick up the issue of Popular Woodworking. It's on stands now. In general, it really doesn't seem like a lot of work for me. It's more fun, and I call this my playground for learning, and there's a reason why I call it my playground for learning. Because at the same time that I'm a weekend furniture maker, I also work in the advertising industry for about the same amount of time, and it's been mostly digital and social platforms. So I take what I learned from my woodworking business and I apply a lot of that to a lot of the brands that we represent at Curiosity Advertising. And this is how I help connect the dots between my passion and my profession. So Curiosity Advertising is an agency based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We're 5 years old. We have about 50 people in the office on a good day. And when we're not in the office, we're either out helping our clients doing something, or we're out being encouraged to explore things that make us curious. Get the connection there with the name. Curious about our hobbies, our passions, the things that we find personal interest in. This is a good example of the employees at Curiosity and the things that we do outside of work. And it's this culture of curiosity that's incredibly important for us as an agency, and it's an incredibly important part of fostering ongoing learning and discovery and remaining relevant in this industry, staying on top of trends and really supporting the passions. So the client I'm representing today is Dallas, Texas-based Dean Foods. Dean is the largest dairy in the nation. They represent 26 regional brands and 4 national brands that most of you guys are probably familiar with. 2 of the brands today that we're going to be talking a little bit about have been incredibly successful, TrueMoo and Dairy Pure, by leveraging some of these promoted social activities with IZEA as well as other partners. For some background, TrueMoo is the nation's leading chocolate milk brand, and Dairy Pure recently launched in May as the country's first national white milk brand. It has a household penetration, if anyone understands that. It's greater than Diet Coke, so you're going to find Dairy Pure in more refrigerators than Diet Coke, so that's pretty good. These 2 brands alone account for the sale of 2.6 billion gallons of milk annually. So if you want some perspective on that, that's 4,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, so quite a bit of milk. And chances are, if either your kids are consuming milk at school, or if you happen to have a latte this morning, even at the place downstairs, you've probably enjoyed some of Dean's dairy products. If advertising characters are your thing, you may recognize a few of these characters from Dean, from our television campaigns. We have talking cows and red and white milkmen, and they're a lot of fun. As it relates to these two brands, I'm actually joined by Wendy Poor. She'll be up here a little bit later on stage talking a little bit about some of the results. Wendy is the brand manager of TrueMoo at Dean, and we're really excited to talk a little bit about what we've seen as a result of these types of investments. So the first thing I really want to talk about is the most critical factor for helping drive the success of any type of sponsorship with content creators. And aside from having great content, it's important to have a really robust distribution strategy. When you're engineering your content properly, when you're putting things together in a way that's going to be adaptable and flexible across multiple platforms and over multiple years, you're going to have assets that you can leverage continuously year in and year out across a lot of different platforms, and it can also lead to a multi-year strategy of content distribution. So let me talk a little bit about how that works. So like many brands, TrueMoo invests in broadcast television to help drive awareness of their nationally distributed product. So let me give you a quick taste of two of their spots.
Anything good in there?
How about
TrueMoo. It's nutritious with no artificial growth hormones.
So, what's the catch?
I got nothing. It's delicious.
TrueMoo, now with 35% less sugar and the same great chocolate taste.
Dad, grab something good. No junk food, please.
Go for the TrueMoo. It's delicious.
That's chocolate.
But it's nutritious and contains no artificial growth hormones.
TrueMoo, a truly good thing anytime.
All right. Well, awareness, however, is not the only thing that helps make this campaign great. It's really a 360-degree marketing approach that we take for their brand. And promoted social sponsorships, like the ones we've conducted with IZEA, are a great way to help distribute great content at scale on behalf of the brand. Content like blog posts also are helping influence the purchase decisions that consumers make on the products that they're going to be purchasing for their family. That's a s'mores poke cake. It looks pretty good. And this is actually a great example of the type of content that we get from our content creators on a regular basis. So a large percent of TrueMoo's content creation is really focused on driving these incremental usage occasions of their products on things like these indulgent recipes. So by offering our core users or new users to the brand one more opportunity to buy the product a year, that can make a tremendous difference when you're looking at the sales for the brand annually. And this applies to both TrueMoo's core products, their chocolate milk, as well as some of their seasonal flavors. So right now we've got a Halloween orange scream flavor, and in the wintertime, we have a chocolate marshmallow product that goes on shelves that we encourage people to try as well. For chocolate marshmallow in particular, last winter, TrueMoo ran a promotion around this limited time flavor. It's usually out for about 6 weeks. And what we did in advance is we partnered with IZEA and their content creator network, including developing a closer relationship with ambassadors who were content creators that we leveraged every month to produce a continual flow of content. They developed recipes and usage occasions to really help drive awareness and trial. And dozens of posts like this were created featuring all original recipes, and then they were distributed by content creators across their social networks. So that was really step one. But once we have that content in our hands, there's a lot more we can do with it. We take those recipes, we look at the ones that are the best possible options for further amplification. So we rely on both organic and paid distribution of recipes just like this on Facebook's page, on TrueMoo's Facebook page. And in this particular case, it delivered a 5% post engagement rate. And we have this happen on dozens and dozens of examples just like this. But what was more critical, though, is the strategy that we took up there is pin for later. So you don't want to just have a one and done. You want to encourage people to do something else with that content once they've been exposed to it on one platform. It's taking them to Pinterest. So we took them to Pinterest and asked them to pin it for later. And we see very strong correlations when we run those campaigns on Facebook, when they're paid or organic, with subsequent results that we see. You can see from the lower line there, you start to really see some big spikes in terms of impressions, views, and even repins. And that's how you get the content to have legs and continue to propagate itself across the web. And we just heard earlier the role that Pinterest has in influencing search, Google search, as well as Pinterest being a search engine. That's incredibly important. And TrueMove also benefits from this because they're going to come up more often when people are searching for recipes or doing things like a s'mores search on Pinterest. So last year's initiative will continue to evolve this year into the winter of 2016, while we're leveraging a lot of this evergreen content that we produced from years past. So one of the really interesting things is that publishers are offering paid opportunities to really leverage this content in really fun and innovative ways. New media products are designed to take advantage of this type of content, and they go way beyond the banner advertising that we've heard about earlier that doesn't seem to be doing so well. So even as we speak, our Halloween campaign is leveraging a program through Opera MediaWorks with their dynamic end cards. And these essentially run at the end of a pre-roll video, and it allows us to show off these delicious recipes with links to either the original recipe on the creator's site itself, or we're encouraging people to pin that content. So this Halloween, TrueMove has leveraged recipe content that we actually produced last year and the year before. And we've heard in other cases that the average lifespan of a piece of content is around 700 days for a blog post. This is a perfect way of taking advantage of that fact and integrating it into your strategy. And this is an approach we take year after year. So beyond social media, TrueMove also leverages its website to feature all these new seasonal recipes as they're developed by our content creators. It also provides the site with fresh new content that allows it to get indexed more often, and it helps support key promotional periods, especially when we're running advertising. We want to keep the site fresh, so when people decide to come back, there's always new recipes that they can find to use the product. And that's when the traffic to the site is also the heaviest. So once they're on the site, we curate this content, and it's featured as kind of an abbreviated digest format. So we're not giving the entire recipe on our site. Instead, we're directing people to the original recipes, much like what we do on Pinterest. So our TrueMove ambassadors, among other creators, maintain the recipes on their site, which allows for more of that authenticity of the message to come through. And while some brands may not be much of a fan of taking people off-site, there's a reason for doing this, and let me give you a little bit better idea why. We also do this with some of our other clients at Curiosity Advertising. In this case, I was a part of also developing content for them that use their products in different small craft projects. They curate that content on their site, but they take people to the original creator's source. In this case, it was my site. Well, what's the benefit of that strategy? Well, if you dig into Google Analytics a little bit here, you can see that, and this is Google Analytics on my site, that an average time on page from people who are coming from their page to view the entire post is on around 3 minutes and 42 seconds. That's well over 3 times the average for a brand site visit. So we're talking about heavy engagement. We're talking about connecting with consumers in a relevant way. We're talking about giving them inspiration and reasons to want to try their products and make something themselves. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about celebrity endorsement. We've taken advantage of this over the last few years on behalf of TrueMove and some other brands. And overall, we do tend to be a little cautious. You know, there's obviously the Jared factor that's going on right now in the marketplace, and we don't want to be at the receiving end of that type of program. But it's important that when we do choose celebrities, that they come across authentically. However, we've seen with the right type of planning and also just with the right strategy that kind of sets the stage, these sponsorships can really work out to our advantage. So last fall, TrueMove introduced a Protein Plus product that was really geared towards millennial males as the target. So this shifted outside of their core target of moms with kids. And the exact opposite of that is somebody like Brody Smith. Brody Smith is a big YouTuber who does a lot of Frisbee trick shots. And he created some really original, engaging content that allowed us to really reach his followers, which became a conduit to really connecting with millennial males. Six seconds, that's all it takes. And this six-second video on Vine became the most successful piece of content that TrueMove as a brand has ever created in its history. As it stood as of last year, there were about 3.7 million views of that video, and that's just organic views of the video alone. But it doesn't end there. Much like we handle a lot of the recipe content, we look for other ways to take those assets and distribute them across our own platform, or whitelisting on Twitter, or sending it out across our Instagram feed, really looking for a way to connect with as many people as possible with that single piece of content. And on Twitter alone, anything over about a 1% engagement rate on a paid program is considered really good in the industry. This particular video had an 11% engagement rate, and we had about an 8-cent cost per view, which is really fantastic. For people in the ad industry, you'll probably recognize that. In the words of our Twitter rep, it was one of the best programs that they had seen. And this is influencing other choices that we're making right now actively on our Halloween program. As a part of National Chocolate Milk Day, perhaps one of the lesser-known national holidays, on September 27th, I'm sure you all missed it, but if you happen to be on Instagram or Twitter and you're a mom with kids, you may have happened to see this fun little video here. So that video was kind of the base asset that we created as a brand. We had some other visuals that went along with it, but it served as a guide for our content creators to develop video, to develop additional blog posts that really brought awareness to National Chocolate Milk Day. It was supported on all of the platforms for TrueMove leading up to and on National Chocolate Milk Day itself. And as a result, we had a series of sponsored posts that were on strategy, that created beautiful images, that were timely, and that drove awareness and buzz for the holiday itself. Beyond the original recipes and digest posts and mentions, just for that one day alone, we had 1.5 million organic impressions taking place around National Chocolate Milk Day. And meanwhile, Nesquik and Hershey's were nowhere to be seen on that day. So not only did our content creators embrace this holiday, we also tapped into IZEA's Celebrity Influencer Network to work with Tiffany Amber Thiessen for a sponsored celebrity post. And she created this great photo, kind of tying into the wholesomeness of who she is. She's a mom with kids. It received some really good distribution and engagement on Instagram and Twitter throughout the entire day. And I'm actually kind of noticing a little bit of a theme here at IZEAFest this year. We've got Tiffany Amber Thiessen today. Who else is tomorrow? Mario? Is Screech appearing? No? Okay. Probably better not. It's like Jared. Just last week, we rolled out another celebrity influencer program for TrueMove's Orange Scream Halloween flavor with Vine's favorite superhero, Bat Dad. I'm going to play this here first, and then I'll talk a little bit more.
Where they have to stop, if you go.
Well, go, go, go!
It's a little dark. Bat Dad got to try out his drone with that closing shot. First, I do want to say and thank you to the IZEA influencer team for really turning this around incredibly fast. We gave you no time, and you guys delivered on our top two choices, so we do appreciate that. One of the bad points, yeah, exactly. This is a campaign that's still going on right now, so unfortunately, I tried to submit a change to my presentation yesterday evening, and that just didn't go over too well. We had this video as well as a couple of others created through the influencer program, and we have 1.5 million views on Vine and Instagram and Twitter, and we've also integrated a lot of these videos into boosted and paid programs through Facebook and Instagram. And as a result of that, we're seeing close to 1.75 million video views and we're paying on a cost per view basis, and a cost per view right now is 1 penny. Not a cost per thousand, cost per view, 1 penny. So the content really performs well, not only organically, but also with paid support. So now, actually, I want to bring one of my clients up from Dean Foods on stage, if Wendy is back there. This is Wendy Poor. Wendy is TrueMove's brand manager. She has been a super champion of everything that we've been doing up to this point, but we want to give her an opportunity to talk a little bit about the results.
Thank you, Andy. I actually call him DA, which stands for Digital Andy, so when you run into him, you can do the same. For the past 2 years, Dean has increased its investment in a variety of promoted social activities, leveraging IZEA's network, among others, and we continue to see benefits of those investments today. Promoted social activities, ongoing relationships with our creator ambassadors, social amplification, and celebrity sponsorships continue to give us the content that we need each and every day as we move forward. First, they continue to deliver recipes, photography, and blog content at the highest quality. Just in the last 2 years, our TrueMove and Dairy Pure brands have amassed a catalog of over 250 recipes, lifestyle, and product review blog posts. These deliver quality content as well as web pages that help our brand index more often on search engines, driving positive results in organic rank across branded and non-branded terms. We've also seen the benefits of fostering multi-year partnerships with some of the web's top food bloggers and influencers. With our ambassador bloggers, Dairy Pure and TrueMove have a regular source of fun, creative, and innovative ideas that can sometimes even make our creative agency a little bit nervous. With the right fit, celebrity influencers can deliver highly engaging content that's right for the brand and their fans, because they offer opportunities to tap into networks of influence and advocacy whose reach far surpasses our brand on its own. When backed by a solid campaign strategy, sponsored content can deliver timely, authentic, and engaging content to a whole new audience. Our promoted social content has delivered a 2-year total of over 300 million online impressions, and this is at a CPM that beats some of the best programmatic ad networks, and we're really focused on that. This number accounts for both paid and organic content distribution on blogs, social, and digital ad platforms, which engagement rates averaging well over 5% in some cases. So now we have at our disposal content that continually feeds the investments that we are making across virtually every media channel. This allows us to take advantage of some of the industry's highest performing digital ad products like native ad placements and editorial integration. It also fosters ongoing collaboration and continual improvement between our agency partners and the investment that they make on our behalf. So to conclude, I leave you, actually, Andy's going to conclude, sorry. Back to you, DA.
Looks like the speaker notes were cut off.
I know.
I think Wendy's speaker notes were cut off there. So I do want to conclude with giving you guys maybe 7 things to remember that will hopefully help drive some sponsorship success for the brands that you're either creating content for or are a part of from an agency standpoint. And in no particular order, the first is playing well in the sandbox. Brands, you should demand this of all your agency partners. You will deliver stronger results when they work together against a common goal. This is incredibly important. From an agency standpoint, never plan a one and done with the content that you're creating. Let your agency partners know what your plans are. The more they know about it, the more they're going to be likely to integrate that into their programs, to develop complementary ad products, and basically make the content work a lot stronger. And when they win, you win. So always have a good handle on the content that's at your disposal, whether you're creating it or another agency is creating it, and make sure you have good, solid plans to distribute it accordingly. The next is connecting the dots of your investments. So you want to distribute your content how consumers are interacting and engaging online. They're not just on one single platform, they're across multiple platforms. You want to engineer the content, and you want to connect those platforms and investments with sharing strategies that you'll get in front of more people more efficiently by letting them live, rather than just letting it live in one single place by itself. So keep this in mind during your planning cycles, but also throughout the process. It's important to remain nimble and being able to make changes on the fly in order to take advantage of those opportunities. Create once, publish everywhere. Some people refer to this as COPE. So paying for any sponsored program and then just letting the content sit and not doing anything with it should be considered a crime. Look at the organic engagement of the content that you have and then invest further. Push it out across multiple platforms and use it year after year. This includes both paid and boosted investments, as well as content curation, syndication, and even integration into native ad platforms. Speaking of evergreen, content is evergreen, so save a tree and some money. I talked earlier about how the average lifespan of a blog is 700 days. The ones we're using right now for Halloween are even under that. We have another year to go that we can still use those assets. So as you see, strong content is always new and compelling to somebody. It's going to be fresh and new if they haven't considered your brand, if they're not in market. So keep the content coming and never be ashamed to recycle old content. It's still good. Evergreen content also influences consumer search, and it also influences what Google refers to as the ZMOD, or zero moment of truth. When those assets are out there, they're driving organic indexing and really impacting search. Having a plan, but don't always stick to it. This is the one that always makes our executives at the agency a little nervous if we don't stick with the plan, but it's important while, as a brand, you need to have a plan, but you also need to have a strategy that's right, but flexibility is key. Agencies, sometimes those best opportunities come along when you can prove that you're flexible and adaptable. Sometimes we get surprised by the type of content that we receive from our content creators, and we'll make a change at the last minute. We'll send pieces out that weren't planned in the overall program, but we'll put boosted dollars behind it, and we get some great results. So be prepared to bring that to your clients. That creativity can deliver original and authentic content and meaningful results for future investments for your content programs. Think about your unique fingerprint. That's what brands and readers want. So content creators, we've heard this today a lot. You know what the brand is looking for, and you know what your readers want. They're looking for entertaining and engaging content, but above all else, they're looking for authenticity. If it's not a good fit, don't accept the sponsorship. If it is, always strive to over-deliver on the content that you're creating. If they're asking for one video, make it a longer video. Or if they're asking for a photo, maybe send them two. These are the kinds of things that agencies in our position and brands think about when we're reevaluating our partnerships. And those are going to be the bloggers that are going to be sought out year after year. Be curious and find your own playground. One of the biggest regrets that I have being in the business for 20 years is not having tapped into my woodworking passion sooner and using that as a conduit to creativity and trying and testing new things out. So whether I've developed content on my own through experimentation to find out works best, or with the awesome group of people back at Curiosity Advertising, it's those opportunities that have really served as the best cases for teaching us something very important and learning what type of content works really well. So my advice is to really be open to trying something different, kind of think outside of your comfort zone and see what sticks. Better yet, harness your passions and begin creating anything. Create content, photos, recipes, gifts, anything. And with that, first I want to thank IZEA for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I also want to give a special thanks to Dean and Curiosity, as well as all my woodworking sponsors who've really helped provide this perspective. This is really what makes this industry fun, what keeps me getting up in the morning every day, and I really appreciate that. So thanks.
Great job.